Hello again, now from the end of the International Transpersonal Conference here in Prague. My final interview at the end of this conference is with Dr. Hennie Geldenhuys from Cape Town, South Africa. Hennie, it's been a good conference. You and I have been here for 6 solid days that involved yet another research-based conference after the other one. I think we've learned a lot and had some profound experiences. I'm going to ask Hennie a question based on his professional experience as a medical doctor, transpersonal coach and therapist. And the question is, Hennie, what do you see as the value of a transpersonal perspective in the fields of coaching and therapy?
It's interesting that the question actually works both ways. It's what coaching can mean to the transpersonal, but also what the transpersonal actually means to coaching. So I think to coaching, the transpersonal reminds us that coaching is about the entire experience of being human. It's about the entire human experience. So it includes the mundane day-to-day existence, but it also includes the spiritual aspects of our being, the emotional aspects, the mental aspects. The entirety of the experience is brought into the coaching session, and we as coaches should be open to whatever comes up for the client, and we should be able to follow any experience. I think the transpersonal also teaches us that states of awareness and states of consciousness are very important. And it teaches us that we need to be comfortable with working with different states of awareness and different states of consciousness. And in my mind, this is the core of it. And then, of course, what does coaching mean to the transpersonal? So it occurs to me that within the transpersonal, there are different domains. So there are the philosophers within the transpersonal realm. There are the advocates, the activists, the experientialists, and then there's coaching. So in my mind, coaching is the application of the transpersonal. It answers the question, so what? It's the part of the transpersonal world that helps us to integrate the transpersonal into meaning that manifests in our lives and in our relationships to others and our relationships with everything else, with nature and with our environment. So it helps to make the transpersonal real.
Oh, I get that. Hennie, we're talking about coaching and therapy as if it was sort of one bigger modality, but I think coaches and especially psychotherapists might argue that they're very different disciplines, and that would be true. So if we're coaching from a transpersonal perspective or doing psychotherapy from a transpersonal perspective, where is the line between the two disciplines?
So I think the line is somewhat artificial in my mind. I mean, traditionally we would say that therapists focus on pathology. It focuses on making something which is abnormal normal. I think many therapists would argue with that. And traditionally we might say that coaching is about concentrating on the positive, and it does not focus on what is wrong, but rather on what is right. But I think both are true, and I would like to think that the way that transpersonal coaches work is actually a synthesis of both therapy and coaching. It is incorporating what is a problem, what is an issue, which some might consider as pathology, although we wouldn't call it that. But it's synthesizing that which is perceived as being dysfunctional and integrating that which is growth-orientated and moving forward and expansively orientated. So in that context, I think both therapy and coaching are actually incorporated into what we would call the coaching model.
Interesting indeed. And it makes good sense that when one is, as a practitioner, coaching or therapy, holding the space in the greater sense of that analogy of holding the space where transformation can occur in therapy or coaching, that in this more expanded stated perception that the transpersonal practitioner might have, that they can extend themselves into dealing with issues that clients might ordinarily be bringing to a therapy session, or the challenges that other clients might be bringing to a coaching session. And I think the tremendous value, and you've hit the nail on the head here, is that, as I understand it, say for example in a coaching session, the client wants to deal with some particular challenge, they come into their coach, and it's a transpersonal coach, and they're working in a way that suddenly unveils the deeper down, more causal elements of the challenge, which might have not been in conscious awareness. So we're doing a performance-related issue, we're going to resolve this, but suddenly we find that it's got roots into childhood issues and so on. A traditional coach would be stuck because their modality won't assist the client to now deal with it. They'd have to refer instantly and just bring the session to a close because they're of no further use to the client. And as I understand it, the transpersonal coach has within their repertoire of skills the ability to continue the process and help the client resolve those deeper down issues in a coaching-like way, which probably has distinctions that differentiate it from psychotherapy. Nonetheless, work with causal factors. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we need to remember that when we are in a therapy or coaching session, we are there with the entirety of our beings. Everything that we are, we bring to the session, both the coach, the facilitator, as well as the client. And I think we would be naive to think that we only come with one part of ourselves. That isn't possible. The transpersonal teaches us that experience is on all levels, and we are always on all levels. We might work with different levels at different times, but the integral approach teaches us that we can't be just one thing. We are all things at all times. And we bring all those things to the session. And I think what often happens in a coaching session, particularly from a transpersonal perspective, is that we start mingling our entirety. We start being the full experience of being human, both from the facilitator and from the client. We bring that into the space. So I think that transpersonal coaches need to be very comfortable with that. They need to realize that they are bringing themselves as much as they are allowing the client to bring themselves into that open space between us. And the space becomes a very special place. And ultimately, I think a transpersonal coach is someone who is comfortable with working whatever comes up in that space. Who are we to limit that space?
And that seems like a very specialized set of skills that coaches and possibly therapists too need to bring into this way of working, right? Now I happen to know that you provide transpersonal coach training in South Africa, as I do too. We collaborate there, and some online options are available also. Do these particular skills get imparted? Do participants learn how to hold the space in that manner, maintain a transpersonal perspective, cultivate transpersonal states so that we have all these points of leverage in the process?
Absolutely, and this is a teachable skill, and it's a very simple skill. It is something that we of course term open awareness, which is a very particular way of being where we facilitate both our awareness and how the awareness works. Both ours, but as well as the clients. And it's a very simple but very profound way of being that is very well suited to the coaching and therapy paradigm. Because what it teaches us is that openness and an awareness, a hyper-awareness of what is happening inside, outside, what is happening in the transpersonal realm. It makes us open to all those levels of experience without intimidating us, without without us closing it down and concentrating on just one aspect, but at the same time being able to not to be so lost in the process that we can't direct it according to our intuition, so that we can serve the client. Ultimately, we are there to serve the client. But if we aren't fully aware of what's happening at all levels, then we can't be of service. And so I think the skill of transpersonal coaching is not always the content, it's not always the knowledge, it's learning the way of being.
The way of being. And you've told us loud and clear that that's a learnable skill, which is good news. So you've used the word integral also, and in my summary, holistic makes a lot of sense. A holistic and integral way of facilitating both coaching and therapy processes that is completely client-centered. Do I have it right?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So we might have a bias because we're advocates of transpersonal ways of knowing and applications in these various fields. And this might lead to many questions that people watching this video might have. So we'll make sure that wherever we place this video, there will be links below it. So viewers watching this will be able to maybe have their questions answered by visiting the various resources that we'll make available, no doubt. But of course, our contact details will be amongst those, whether they're links or findable within the links that we'll give them. We will invite viewers of this video to make use of that. So look below the video. I'm sure there'll be something to find there.